Mr. Jerry Vaval. What's going on, blood?
JTG.
What up, what up, what up?
What's going on? Well, let's welcome the people back to another episode of Giant Fundamentals, the podcast dedicated to empowering men by tackling the vital issues of mental health. And with that, I'd like to start by asking you, how is your heart? How is your mind? How is your body? What are you grateful for?
Um, man, heart and mind. I think overall I'm good, but not good in a way where it's like, oh yeah, everything is going well. It's more so um my heart is humbled.
Mm-hmm.
Heart is humbled. My mind is all over the place. Just thinking about so many different things. But it's good because this is a part of the healing process. This is the shedding that's necessary. And I've never been in a situation in my life like this before where I'm just like, yo, I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen next. And I mean, you know, what's so funny? We never know what's going to happen next. We think we know what's going to happen next. We lie to ourselves and we, just to keep us, psychologically feeling safe. But
What's our favorite tagline? You can't make this shit up.
can't make it up at all. So for me, I'm like, now that I really know, like, God has humbled me to let me know, bro, you don't know what's going on. You think you be in control. You don't be in control. You think you are. So
Mm-hmm.
now that I'm in that space, I'm like, yo, I'm along for the ride, man. I'm saying now, let me let the waves take me where I need to go. I don't know where I'm gonna end up, but at the end of the day, I know that wherever I end up, it's for my good, man. I'm really starting to believe that now. I'm really starting to believe that. As scary, I'm saying, and there's like a pit in my stomach. That's called
Yeah,
anxiety.
yeah.
But I'm like, yo, this is real life, man. So, um, yeah, my body. Went to the gym a couple of times this week, trying to get back into a good routine. Um, just shot around, did some things on the court, and just trying to take it easy, but still be active. You know what I mean? Because I want to start hooping again. It's been over a year since I hooped. I want to start hooping again. I need that. I need that competition, bro. I need it.
Hundred
Um,
percent.
but yeah, man. After that, life is lifing, but that means I'm alive, man. So
It sounds like with everything that you said, and you've mentioned this with us offline, with me and you offline, but you're grateful for the principle that I sent over to you, where it talks about insistence causes resistance.
mm,
And I think in this life where you said I'm just allowing life, the waves to take me where I need to go, that's what I'm hearing.
mhm.
Am I correct?
Absolutely, 1,000,000%, man. 1,000,000%. I forced things for so long in my life, and now it's like it's time to go with the flow. Time to go with the flow.
Trying to go with the flow. And with me, my heart is full. I feel good. I'm in a season of my life where I feel like I'm finally seriously talking to someone and seeing where that goes. My mind is still all over the place, but I have more focus. I think it's funny because growing up, they always tell people, don't tell people your plans, don't tell people what you're trying to do.
Yeah,
But for me, when I talk to more and more people, my plan and my focus becomes more fine tuned. Right? As I don't think you should listen to everyone, but as I listen to trusted sources and I
yeah.
listen to my gut, my focus, my vision is more clear. Right? My body feels good. I'm looking to get back into the gym myself and hoop. I feel healthy, like healed from my injury.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, I shot around and did some workouts, and I was like, okay, I feel like I'm almost at 100%. So
good.
now it's really the test to see, okay, where am I
Yeah.
at? You know what I mean?
Dang, I forgot. Completely forgot that you injured your hamstring, and honestly, I forgot that I injured my hamstring because that's the whole I was on the court running around. I didn't feel anything, so I'm good.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody went through that old man syndrome, right? And something that I'm actually grateful for, and I think you've been experiencing too, is just autonomy.
Mm,
in the sense of like, even though I'm trying to build a relationship with someone, appreciating my individuality and what I bring to the table and not trying to change that person to be like me. And because I accept myself, I also accept them too.
that's key right there because there's two clients that I recently started working with, and it's interesting. The same thing came up where they were like, they said, the old saying, treat people the way that you want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, you got to be careful with that because what ends up happening is we take that for face value. We take that literally and we say, all right, if I want to be treated such and such way, then I'm going to treat the person this way. But what ends up happening is when you're a people pleaser and you have dynamics in your relationship where you're the one that's always giving and people are always taking, that doesn't work because people are just going to continue taking, and then eventually you're going to end up becoming resentful because you're like, yo, I'm giving so much and they ain't giving me nothing back.
Exactly.
And what you don't recognize is, and what a lot of people don't recognize is, you have to give yourself the treatment first.
Hmm.
Give yourself the good treatment that you believe people should be giving you. Give yourself that treatment. But what we do is we start backwards. We work from the outside in instead of the inside out. We give that treatment and we don't give ourselves not even an ounce of that treatment. And then the expectation is, oh, for this person to give that back to me. But you can't control what somebody does. So once they don't give it back to you, you start getting upset. But you should really be upset at yourself because you're not giving yourself the treatment that you're giving to everyone else. And I think that's a big transition for a lot of us to make because we just a lot of us are honestly we're just so consumed when it comes to external validation, and we don't realize that you have to first start giving yourself what you need and what you deserve, but we've been cultured to just do the opposite.
Exactly. And when you talked about Inside Out, I did watch Inside Out too, which was
Oh, that thing is
phenomenal.
yes, amazing.
I'm so impressed that they had the wherewithal to make a movie like that. And it's tough, like you said, that treatment to give it to yourself, but understanding childhood trauma, it's hard to give yourself something no one never gave you.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. So that's the difficult part. And I know it's hard, but you have to start somewhere.
yeah, yeah. And I think the first place to start, honestly, of course, I'm always going to say therapy, but if you're not even in therapy, just start recognizing certain patterns. Just recognize patterns. And when I'm saying patterns, I'm not just merely talking about things that you're doing or things
Mhm.
that the other person is doing. I'm talking about when you do something, how do you feel about it? Then when the person does something to you, how do you feel about what they do to you? Because our feelings tell us everything we need to know about what's really happening. It lets us know everything we need to know. But then you have to learn how to actually like honor your feelings, especially with us as men. We've been cultured and we've been programmed to dishonor our feelings by suppressing them, over rationalizing a situation that made us feel bad, but like, nah, man, that's not a big deal. I went through that when I was a kid and I'll just turn out just fine. No, nigga, it's not good. You know what I'm saying? You still feel hurt. So we have to get to a space where we can even just know what makes us feel in certain ways. Like that's a lot of the work that I do with men. That's what I'm doing. I'm like, yeah, you're telling me what you think. I don't want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear how you feel. And it's a big challenge for them to express how they really feel because that's just a skill that's so underdeveloped. So I will go with them and I'm like, all right, let's look at the feelings wheel. Because literally, you go on Google, type in feelings wheel, you're going to see all different types of feelings from the core feelings to the secondary feelings to the third stage of feelings. You're going to be able to see all of them, and now you're going to be able to put a name to how you're feeling.
Yeah. Well, let's not get too far into our main episode. Let's.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I want you to give your feelings about how the Dallas Mavericks traded Luca faster than an emotionally intelligent man that realized he tried to make a hoe into a housewife and got rid of that chick. He gone.
Yeah, I like everybody else. I was shocked. I was shocked. Well, people say that they're resetting the power balance in the NBA, giving it back to the owners and execs over players.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked, but I'm not surprised that they did it because they seem to have always had problems with Luca when it comes to taking a game seriously off of the court.
Right.
So I'm assuming that they're projecting. Maybe they got some type of artificial intelligence that let them know how long Luca's gonna be able to play for, based on how
Yeah.
he's conditioning. But anywho, I mean, I was like, wow, I like the trade though. I mean, this is the NBA, right? The Lakers always
Yeah.
have to have the biggest star.
Yeah. They got it for at least the next 12 years.
Yeah, for sure. So they always got to have the biggest star. So that's amazing. I'm definitely interested to see how how LeBron rubs off on Luca. I
Mm-hmm.
also see what Dallas is gonna do. Like that first game, that looked pretty nice. AD came to play, Kyrie doing his thing. So they got a good little squad there, man, to contend. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think they're gonna contend this year. I think they're too far in the standings. They're gonna have to climb up. I'm gonna assume that they'll make a play in at least. But um,
The only thing I would say about that is when you talked about how Luca handled his behavior off court, all right,
yeah,
him being prepared for games.
allegedly.
Allegedly. Well, I mean, we've seen him smoking and drinking and whatever, but allegedly, right? I think that's just something they owners have to realize. Like, because if you look at a lot of the European players, even though they're developed really well because of their system, look
Hmm.
at Jokic. They really don't. They're not LeBron. They don't work on their bodies all year long. They actually have work life balance. If you think about it.
No, you're right. You're right. Because Luka was like, oh, the parade. He was like, oh my God, no, I just want to go home. He was like,
Yeah.
when the champion said, no, I still got to stay here. Oh my God, I just want to go home
Yes.
like my horses.
Yes. Yes. So like
That's a
that's
great point.
so it's a catch 22. Yeah, can he drop 50? Yeah, but he's gonna smoke and drink right before the game.
Yeah,
He's
that's a great point.
he,
Because it's also a cultural thing, and I don't think we recognize that, and that's why a lot of us men have so much issues. Like, because the rest in peace to the great Kobe Bean Bryant. But I'm gonna be real, Kobe wasn't all there though, man.
no, he's a psychopath.
Yeah, it was too much, man. Come on, like we applaud that because America applauds who can perform the best and who can go the hardest and who can go the longest. Yeah, I could see why Kobe and Vanessa almost broke up like 3, 4 times because it's just after a while I don't know how their home life is, but just to see how he is, it's like, yo, that's a lot. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
That is American culture, and that's why a lot of American culture or American people struggle with this idea of happiness because of the capitalistic way.
absolutely, very true,
You
very
know,
true.
so that's why I'm like, okay, for me, as much as I chased being successful and having money and having that notoriety, that validation,
Yeah,
I will not let that money come between me and my kids or
yeah.
the people that I love in my circle. So with that being said, if you can go over our mental health music, our Eminem section,
All right.
what you been
Um,
listening to?
so there's this song on King Disease 2. That's
Mm-hmm.
Nas' album. It's called 40 Sides. And he says this: ain't no pity party for yourself. You gotta you gotta get up, rise for your wealth. Can't spend all that time in your feelings trying to sympathize with yourself. Don't nobody owe you. Ain't nobody holding you back. You stuck in illusions, attached to something that ain't even that.
Mm.
Yeah. So normally I say what it means, but when you hear it, what comes to your mind when you hear those lyrics?
I feel like sometimes we chase standards. It's this quote. I think Jay Shetty or no Rob Dow said that a lot of us don't even know ourselves. we're just a version of what we think someone else thinks of us.
Yeah.
So it's like we're chasing these things, we're chasing these standards, and nobody even care like that. But we think that person thinks we need to be this way. So we put all this pressure on ourselves. We're chasing this generational wealth. We're breaking these generational curses
Yeah.
because we think at the end of the healing journey, we're gonna get this big plaque, this Nobel Peace Prize to say, hey, you did it. And it's not even that deep. What did you get from it?
For me, I got out of it that at the end of the day, like he says, don't nobody owe you. Like whatever you're trying to do in your life, you have to understand that you have the power to do it. But if you're stuck in how you feel, if you're stuck in seeing yourself as the victim, then you're just holding yourself back. So that's why that's what I get from it.
So talking about the victim, I think you alluded to this earlier when we were talking about the gratitude section, men and their feelings. I mean, that's what we wanted to talk about at the main topic of our podcast and why it's so hard for men to really open up and express their feelings. Um, I don't, this is definitely a complaint from women. I don't think other men really complain about other men opening up because I think it's just something that's understood, right?
Yeah.
So give us your viewpoint on why you think it's so hard for us to open up about our feelings. Break it down to us.
I believe it's hard for most men to open up because I think the first thing is we are conditioned to perform. And a lot of times when it comes to performing, you don't need feelings because you're just trying to meet an objective. And for a lot of us as men, it's man, okay. It's like a generational cycle where when we're boys, we want connection. That's what we want. We want connection. We want to feel like we belong. And most of the time, where we first seek that from it is from our parents. We want to have connection with our parents. But what ends up happening is our parents, and it's because that's how they were raised. I'm saying our, but of course just speaking in hyperbole or hypothetically speaking, whatever. Our parents themselves were conditioned not for connection, but to perform. So what ends up happening is they pass that down to us, and this is how it shows itself up. You're a boy that's 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. You want connection from your dad. But the only way you see that you get connection from your dad is if you perform well, whether that is in a sport, whether that is in school, whether that is at home and doing chores. You start to notice that your dad is only pleased with you when you do something. That's the only time he's pleased with you. So you take that as, oh, if I want to feel or have a connection with my dad, then I must do. And that doing, you can do the best that you can do. You can excel above and beyond. But doing will never give you true connection because it's always something, it's about performance. True connection comes from just me knowing that, man, my dad loves me for me. Doesn't love me based off of what I do, but he loves me for me. And that brings to my mind a time when my kids had their first karate competition. And we're driving there, and then my son is like, he asked my wife and I, "Oh, if I will you guys still be proud of me if I lose?" And I was like, "Yeah, we'll definitely be proud of you." I said, "I'm just happy that you guys have decided to just take this step to compete. That's a big step. Just so it don't matter if you want to lose." But in my heart of hearts, I'm like, "Nigga, you better win." That's what I'm thinking in my heart. That's how I'm feeling in my heart. So a lot of times, what ends up happening is for men, we just feel as if, man, like I'm not gonna get connection, I'm not gonna get love and acceptance if I don't perform well.
So let me ask you this, and thinking just in my own terms, right? It's been hard for me to express my true feelings, especially to, let's say, my girlfriend or someone I'm talking to, because of that performative based love, right? Because now if I express my feelings or if I make a mistake, I'm being reprimanded or I feel like I'm not being accepted. And I'll give this example. I was watching the show you made me watch, Reasonable Doubt. And in the show, the married couple, the main characters, Jax and Lewis, they were separated. Jax was a hoe.
Yeah, she was.
She was greasing niggas.
Yeah, she was.
And I was actually impressed on how Lewis was really, even though he asked for the separation, he was really he was humble about it. He wasn't really out here, based on what the show showed, he wasn't talking to no woman, nothing like that. Right? And it wasn't until he saw that how much of a hoe Jax was being, he was like, man, fuck it. I'm gonna just go get me something to pounce on. Right? Long story short, maybe months later, they're trying to reconcile. And the young lady that he had sex with is now potentially pregnant. And
Okay.
now
Yeah.
Jax is devastated.
Yeah. Yeah. I got
And
to that part.
and she felt like, oh, he lied, he held this from me. And I just couldn't sit back and think, and I was like, but you could have easily been in the same situation as him. How was it that y'all both did the same? Matter of fact, you did it more than him,
Yeah.
but y'all did the same thing. And because his result was just a little bit different, somehow now you're more devastated than he is.
Yeah.
So my question is it because women are more in tune with their emotions? Does that also come with the consequence of more judgment? I don't know if it's loaded, but you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because now that's gonna cause, now if I'm him, I don't never want to share my feelings.
Yeah. Man, that's a great question. I don't know how I don't know if I could give that question justice. I feel like a
Mm.
woman would have to really answer that. But
So if they were in your therapy session, how would you?
if that couple was in my therapy session,
Yeah. Because the therapist
oh,
in the show, he decided, you know what, we need to have separate sessions.
gotcha, yeah.
So how, like, what is your therapist's mind?
Definitely for sure, there is an issue when it comes to the sense of self
Hmm.
because, and I'm just speaking about with Jax, the woman.
The woman, okay.
I'm not. I don't know who. Just go watch the show. Reasonable Doubt. People, go watch it. Right? Well, Hulu. Yes, it's good. So I think as you see her upbringing, her relationship with her mom, and all these different things, and her career, and all this stuff, it's just even though on the outside she looks so put together, and her profession is like she's great at what she does. They go to performance. It's like there's just a lot with her that's just all over the place, and it took that situation literally for like the seams for the for the to come off at the seams, like just come loose at the seams.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of different things. So for me, if that couple's in front of me, I'm just really what do you call that? Not I don't know what his word is leaving my mind, but I'm just exploring. I'm just curious, like why are you feeling this way? Because it's not about he got a woman pregnant. It's way more than that.
Mm.
Way is much deeper than that. And a lot of times when people have they have a fractured sense of self, a lot of times the way that it shows up is you not knowing how to deal with the consequences of decisions that you've made. Like, yo, yeah, I made the decision to be separate. So, and then you out here doing your thing. He finds out now he's doing his thing. What do you expect? Like, now all of a sudden you all over the place. It's like you weren't really thinking about the decisions that you were making. You weren't really thinking.
So, in Lewis's position, how do you speak to those men that use this as an example? This is why I don't be vulnerable. This is why I don't give my feelings, because of the judgment or the lack of understanding from
Yeah.
women.
So we have to look at it from a balanced view, and it's very hard to be objective when it comes to vulnerability, because our vulnerability is sacred, or it should be. This is why a lot of us have the emotional responses that we do when we are vulnerable, and it's kind of like discarded, or the person doesn't treat your vulnerability with care. Is because it's something that's very sacred to us. But the great philosopher 50 Cent once said, you can't have joy without pain. You can't understand joy without pain. That's a
Mm,
song. He said that something like that. He said that in Many Men. And it's so true. It's like this life is a mixed bag. If you want happiness, joy, and fulfillment, understand that with that comes pain, sorrow, and disappointment. There's no way that you can have happiness, fulfillment, and joy without having pain, sorrow, and disappointment, because that is the yin and yang of life. So there's like this childlike behavior that many of us exhibit, where it's like when we're happy, we're happy. When we're good, we having good relationships, we feel great. But the moment something bad happens, that where somebody, they cross the line, or they betray our trust, or we were vulnerable to them and they didn't treat it with care, it's like we throw like a tantrum and we're all over the place, so on and so forth. But you have to understand that that's a part of the human existence. That's just what it is. And we have to start looking at situations, especially for my men, because women, they tend to be more expressive with their emotions and their pain, and they're more communicative. And I'm not saying when they're more communicative, I'm not saying they're doing it in a healthy way, because sometimes communication could be aggressive.
yeah, they just talk a lot. You can say it.
It'd be aggressive. I'm not even talking about talking a lot. I'm just talking about, like, it's just the way you coming at me. It's just, nah, you just making it
Hmm.
worse. You
Right.
flood, you flood.
Mm.
Nevertheless, they are more communicative. But for us as men, we suppress. We suppress so much, where it's like we don't even know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
Like, I explained this to somebody the other day. I was like, yo, I do consider myself an emotionally intelligent man. But bro, even I don't even be knowing what I be feeling until probably like days or weeks later.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I can't even imagine just a man that's just going through his life, don't, the typical masculine man, the typical. I'm not talking about a real masculine, but the typical man. Just you just kind of living life. You out here just doing your thing, and you just like, oh no, don't hurt me. Like, I can't even imagine like how where they are emotionally, because I be taking a long time sometimes to feel. I'm like, oh, that's how I really felt.
What does that process look like for you to figure out where you are emotionally? Is it something that you're intentionally doing?
A lot of times it's not necessarily something I'm intentionally doing. I think it's just at this point it's habitual.
And who you
If
calling her bitch?
I knew you would do that. Yeah, it's habitual at this point, where it's just an automatic response for me.
Hmm.
It always starts in the mind first. I just think about the situation, and once I start thinking about it, it's like it's kind of weird. I just have this. It's like I know I'm the person that experienced that, but it's like I'm not that person. I just view myself as somebody else.
Hmm.
And then I start to think, oh man, I was thinking this and that and that. What are the emotions that are attached to those thoughts? I just always go there, and I'm like, oh, sometimes it just takes time for me to really just peel back the layers because I can say that I was angry,
Mm-hmm.
but in reality, a lot of times I was disappointed. I was anxious. I was sad. But the primary emotion, the first emotion that comes up is anger.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to peel back the layers, and I'm like, yo, why was I so angry about this? Why was I so disappointed? Why did this make me so disappointed? Then I go again. Oh, I'm disappointed because this situation is reminding me of a core memory, a core negative memory. Speaking of Inside Out too, talk a lot about core memories. This reminds me of a core memory, a negative core memory that I had when I was abandoned or I felt rejected or I felt neglected. This is why I responded the way I responded in this moment. This is why I shut down and I stopped talking. This is why I felt that intense anger inside of me. This is why I felt so disappointed. It's not about this current situation. It's really about what this current situation is pointing to.
So why should I give someone else that power over me by expressing that
That's a
information?
great, that's a great question. And again, like I said, in life, it's there's joy, there's pain, there's sorrow, there's happiness. At the end of the day, if you don't say anything, if you don't share it with somebody that you think you can trust, guess what? You're just gonna make yourself worse. It's gonna become worse over time. That's all. It's just gonna become worse. The power to be able to confide in someone else, and let's talk about a romantic partner, is crucial. It's everything. If you can't do that, why are you in a relationship? But the scary thing is, for a lot of us, is we've given our trust and we've given our vulnerability first and foremost to our parents. I literally just got out of a session today, Jerry, where a client of mine has trust issues with his mom and he wants to be able to trust her and have a better relationship with her. But I'm trying to show him, bro, the math not mathing because your mom put you in a lot of situations where you were you weren't treated right. And when you tried to tell her what was going on, she dismissed you. So those are like infractions that were happening since he was about 7, 8 years old. And they just kept happening over the years. And I said, this is why you have the relationship with your mom the way that you have it now. So again, like I said, a lot of times it doesn't even start with the current situation. It starts with what happened in the past. So if someone like him, not only is he going to have issues trusting people, he's going to have issues trusting women in general.
Yeah, yeah. And he's gonna be that. That's where that toxic masculinity gets thrown in there, right?
Yeah, yeah. Because here's the thing: what a lot of people don't understand about toxic masculinity. I know it's a very cool phrase. Everybody, it's one of the buzz phrases everybody's trying to
Mm-hmm.
use. But let's understand where toxic masculinity comes from. I am arrogant. I am conceited. I'm a macho man because I'm trying to protect myself from being hurt.
Hmm.
This is what happened when I was a kid. I was abandoned. I was neglected. I was rejected. I wasn't treated fairly. My feelings were constantly hurt. I didn't have a mom or dad to lean on emotionally. My parents, yeah, they were there physically, but they had to work so much. When things happen in the neighborhood and there's nothing I can do about it, or kid is bullying me in school, go tell the principal.
And that's all. Go to the office
Yeah,
and tell the
exactly.
principal.
You're right. So you experience all of those things, bro. At the end of the day, toxic masculinity is self-preservation.
Mm.
Literally what it is. People don't, and I'm like, yo, we're using all of these phrases, toxic masculinity, all this stuff. It's like, can we understand the root of it and where it's coming from? Is because I don't feel as if I can trust anybody truly and fully but myself. So I need to create these survival mechanisms. I need to create these defense mechanisms, being conceited, being arrogant, leaning into how much money I can make, leaning into how much women I can get. I have to put up all those things just in order to protect myself from being hurt. This is what toxic masculinity really is.
Right. Man, you said a lot. I think that's enough for the people today. Is there any like closing thoughts or things that you want to share about men and feelings?
I'll say this, man. I know it could be tough because we've built up all these walls over the years, and we honestly feel safe behind the walls that we've built. But in the same breath where we feel quote unquote safe, we're also feeling lonely because you got emotional walls between you and everyone else, between you and your mom, between you and your dad, between you and your siblings, between you and your kids, between you and your significant other. You're literally living a lonely life. So I would say this: there has to be at least one person that you can trust. It's an activity that I would do with my men. I ask them, is there one person in your life that you say that you can just trust? Like you truly, truly trust them? There's always usually one person. They'll be like, yeah. So I said, okay, who's that one person? They'll say, okay, let's say make up a name like Rachel. I said, okay, let's do Operation Characteristics of Rachel. So I said, okay, what are the characteristics that Rachel has that makes you feel emotionally safe? All right. She's non-judgmental. Okay, what does that look like? Well, I told her the worst things that have ever happened to me, and she never looked at me in a bad way. She never treated me differently. She always treated me the same. Okay, cool, non-judgmental. All right, what's another thing? Uh, she's there when I need her. Honestly, like it's never a time that she's not there. Okay, so she's emotionally available. So we
Yeah.
just start creating a list, and I'm like, all right, Operation Characteristics of Rachel. These characteristics that this one friend has, there are other people out there that have it. And I said, there may be people even in your circle that have these characteristics, but you haven't given them a chance yet. And later, that the next session, or before the next session, I will tell them, hey, your homework is to find other people in your circle who may have these characteristics. So we just start to create a list of people to start to make them feel comfortable. Like, okay, I do have a couple of people I can trust, and just grow it from there. So that's my last words, man. For all my men out there, you don't want to be stuck, you don't want to be lonely. And this is a good activity that you can do so you can see, okay, where are the more people in my life that I could possibly trust, be vulnerable with, and open up with.
That's another episode, and I want to say I love you, bro.
Love you too. Until we pod again.
My turn. Thank
Thank you so much for joining us. And remember, the man that says he can and the man that says he can't are both right. Which one are you?
Street cred was a major priority, and no respect for any authority. If you love school, you were in the minority. Can't be yourself, only way was conformity. In the dark, I pray.